Okay, this is N2LEN with another quick video clip, specifically dealing with a brief talk on the older FLEX-SDR-1000 HF through 6 transceiver with the Edirol Roland FA66 external FireWire sound card. It's been a long time since we used the SDR-1000, but recently, I guess the reason why we stopped using it is because Flex stopped the inclusion of the SDR-1000 in its later PowerSDR releases. The last PowerSDR release of software that featured the Flex SDR-1000 was PowerSDR 2.5.3. They continued. The latest version of PowerSDR before it went discoed was 2.7.2, and it included a lot of great features, one of which was the tracking notch filter. A lot of great things. But anyway, recently, within the last year and a half, a gentleman, Darren, KE9NS, continued upgrading PowerSDR, and recently a Russian ham actually, in conjunction with the 2.8, actually embedded the software that it would then once again work with the SDR-1000. So here it is on my 50-inch flat panel monitor. You could see this is PowerSDR version 2.8.0.102, the latest in November 2018, mods by KE9NS and Excalibur, the Russian ham that actually included the SDR-1000, and really, this really revives the old SDR-1000 to really some great features, and it just plays really well. There is a little learning curve in including this, installing it on your computer. You need to run a Windows 7 32-bit software operating system. There are some, I would recommend, I'm using a much older, actually a quite old, GEL. This is actually a Gateway GT5026E, which has an Intel Pentium D 820 processor. It originally came with 1024, 1 gig of DDR2 memory. I upgraded it to 4 gigs, and basically I installed Windows 7 32-bit operating system. And then what you first need to do, you really want to use a PC that has a built-in proprietary parallel port, and I would recommend a built-in proprietary 1394 IEEE FireWire port. The Edirol is external FireWire, and the Flex SDR-1000 uses the parallel port input and output for data in order to work perfectly. To set it up, it's pretty simple, except that you got to go through a process. I would recommend first downloading the original Flex PowerSDR version 1. I think it's 18.6. Install Windows Net Framework version 1. I think it's 42.3, which is the distributable, and then hopefully once you go through the calibration process and you let that run, you could start it up, select the different options, and hopefully it'll just start working. Once you get the software running on Windows 7 32-bit and you know that the data input and output is working, receive and transmit of your SDR-1000 is working, you could then upgrade and just go to Excalibur's SDR GitHub and download the 2.8.0 installer. And what that will do is it's a full-blown Windows installer package, and it'll download the latest Windows 4.50 net framework, and then it'll install the PowerSDR 2.8.0. When you install the drivers in the very, very beginning, the very first thing you want to do is install the Edirol FA66 sound card drivers. You get them right off of the Roland website. You want to make sure that you download this Windows 7 32-bit for the FireWire version, not the USB. And you install it without turning on the FA66, and then you, in the middle of the software drivers, it'll then prompt you to turn it on, and then it'll recognize the FA66 subdriver, and if it all completes, it'll actually go right to the end of the finish for the drivers. So that's the first thing you want to do before you even install PowerSDR any version. A couple of other things real quick. In the setup, you want to go in and select, let me see if I could go ahead and bring this up here. You want to make sure that you come in, and in the DSP settings, you want to make sure that you, in the buffer size for phone, you want to change the RX for CW, and the RX for digital to 4096. Also, basically, in the general setup, let's see if I can get into audio. You want to have the sample rate set for 192,000, really for the kilohertz spread spectrum, and you want to make sure that on the FA66 Roland, the switch in the back for sample rate, actually, you could see it right over here. There's a 4-position switch in the back that also matches the actual sample rate within the PowerSDR software. And that's basically it. You can come in here and you could actually see. I'm just going to turn the mouse, and it works absolutely beautiful. Let's go to AM.
Miles was one of our artists. When Sony bought out.
And that's it. This is N2LEN saying best 7-3.